So here's the thing, guys. Not everyone is paying attention. You're correct. And that's okay. It's not great, but it is okay. In my last video, where this comment is from, I talked about breaking cycles, both collectively and individually, and that's what we're doing. We're breaking the karmic cycles. But just like when you are breaking generational curses in a family, not everyone in the family wakes up. Not everyone in the family becomes aware and becomes a participant in the clearing. And that is hard for the cycle breaker. And Lordy, wouldn't I know. But here is what I know as a psychic medium and as a healer about breaking those generational curses. A crazy fact about me is that I did not know I was psychic until I was already a healer. So I knew I was receiving this call as a healer. Distractor beam could not do it. And so I chose a healing modality, the emotion code, that doesn't require you to be intuitive. It uses muscle testing and a flow chart. But what started happening almost immediately in my sessions, we're talking like 2 or 3 weeks after doing this professionally, spirits of the deceased began coming through. And they did so in such an undeniable way that I couldn't miss it. I couldn't explain it away. These spirits were coming through. And I was receiving messages, and so I would share them. It was like this word vomit, couldn't not. And the client would sit there stunned and be able to verify what I was getting. So that's how I knew. That's how I knew I was connected, and I built on it from there. But the whole point of that is that I learned through that month 1 as a healer. Not everybody in this earth life can awaken and heal and do the work they need to do or want to do. But when they pass over, they are very invested in helping their lineage figure it out and wake up and do the work. There are people in every bloodline with the opportunity to heal the entire bloodline. And that's why those ancestors were coming forward. Because what my clients were healing and clearing, a lot of it they inherited. It didn't begin with them. Another side note, that book hadn't been written yet. It didn't begin with you. That book hadn't been written yet when I started as a healer. So I found that out intuitively, regardless. They were coming through because they themselves, in their souls, were receiving the same healing that the clients were there for. And because the client, the living person, did that, the rest of the lineage going forward was able to have that same healing. And not only that, but the living ancestors, cousins, parents, whoever, siblings, it doesn't matter. Everyone else in the bloodline, whether they consciously knew it or not, that energy of healing was sent to them. It was put on offer. This is the crazy thing about energy and energetic healing and spiritual healing is people don't even have to be consciously aware that something is happening. But an opportunity will come to them or something weird in life will happen and they'll start to think of things differently and they'll have an experience that allows them to work through it. And they might have no idea that the reason that energy came to them, that opportunity to heal came to them, is because somebody else alive already did it. It's sort of like the way I always see it is that, say there's a challenge, something we didn't know how to do before, and someone finally figures it out, that becomes a blueprint. Here's the path I took to do it. And it goes up into the cloud. And then anyone energetically can download it. Psychically, telepathically, unconsciously. We can download it and we can work on that blueprint. So let's just pretend for funsies that only the people in the 4 a.m. club are doing the work right now. Totally not true, but we're going to use this as a numbers game. Let's just pretend. And let's pretend that the 4 a.m. club is only the 100,000 people in my audience, which again, it is not. There are who knows how many of us all over the place. But let's just pretend that it was only 100,000 of us who woke up, who have been witnessing, who've been anchoring the light, who've been looking for the higher perspective. That is still enough to change the course of the entire country and thus the entire world. All it requires is people paying attention and doing the work and walking the path of mastery. That's it. Now that is awesome and awful because it does put the burden on those who are awake and aware. It's harder on people who are paying attention. Life is harder for the cycle breakers than it is for the abusers or the people who are willfully ignorant, eyes closed, hands and ears, won't see it. So yes, life is harder for you right now because you are awake and aware. But what I also learned from all of those client sessions, working with those people and their ancestors and their spirit guides, is that You have no idea. You have no idea. Ooh, feel the chills on that. You have no idea how powerful you are. Something that came through in I believe it was my recent class, the Awakening the Weather Witch. Some information came through that was channeled that said, you are the ancient ones. You are the ones who would have been called masters, angels, archangels. You are simply living in a human body and you have forgotten all that you are. But whether or not you recall and remember, that power is still in you. That ability to do the work is in you. And that is why you are awake and aware at this time. You are doing the work. You are. And I know for a lot of you, it feels like you're failing because you're in despair and you're freaking out. Yeah. You don't have to do this work perfectly. You do not. You've heard me say that so many times. All that is required is that we have the intention and we keep trying and we do the best we can. I will have to do a separate video on this. I might do a light circle on this. I'll think about it. I might do an event. But we need to talk about emotional transmutation. That a lot of us who are feeling the pain and we're in our feels about all of this, you're healing it by feeling it. That is the work. A lot of us, that's how we do the work. Now, would it be fantastic if every single human was awake and aware and fighting? Yes. This would be over in an instant if that's how it was. But that's not where we're at right now. So for now, those of us who are awake and aware are doing the heavy lifting. But rest assured that just because if you look around and talk to people, just because you aren't aware that they're aware, remember the microcosm of the macrocosm. Whatever they're going through internally that might be private, that they're not telling you about. Everyone is being faced with their reckoning in one way or another. And by them doing the work in their own lives, or at least attempting to do the work, that moves the dial forward for the whole collective. Now, the final thing I will say about this is, yes, it's important for more people to become aware, physically, like literally, and that's why we do the advocacy work. That's why we protest. That's why we march. And I'm telling you, if y'all aren't being a menace on Facebook, you should right now, because that's where the right-wingers hang out. That's where the older people hang out who aren't chronically on social media like we are to get all the inside news. That's where you can get in people's ear and show them and tell them what's going on. So if you really want to move the dial forward in that way, please do so. But if you don't feel called to do it that way, that's okay. Just know that you being awake and aware and coming back again to do the work, it's working and you're doing a great job.